Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Awesome. All right, there's so few of you, so you guys are going to have to talk back to me. Be prepared now, okay? I want you guys sleeping through this. Well, welcome. My name is Cassie Rivard. I'm a registered dietitian and owner of Atlas Nutrition and Wellness. By a poll of hands, who are you? If you are a trucker, and solely a trucker, just a driver, please go ahead and just raise your hand. All right. And then if you are a company owner, go ahead and please just raise your hand as well. All right, beautiful. Okay, all right. So now that I know who you guys are, let me share who I am and why I'm here talking today. So I grew up with a dad as a truck driver, biggest blessing of my entire life. He was a milk hauler for the first several years, and then over the road, gone 3-4 weeks at a time towards his rest of his career. And I had the pleasure of going along with him in trips. There's a plant in Gaylord, Michigan, that's a paper plant that I got the pleasure to put a hard hat on, goggles on, carry his straps, give him straps so that he could strap his load. And I loved every part of doing that for many, many, many years. And then in 7th grade, I started to realize my dad was having issues being a trucker. His weight was 350 pounds. He started having high blood pressure. He had sleep apnea. His blood sugar was getting harder and harder to control. And then he would start to fail DOT physicals. He would fail that DOT physical, and then he would not be able to work. He didn't have a physician, so he had to find a physician. He had to go get medications that were incredibly expensive because he didn't have insurance. And he would eventually get everything on board. He'd go back on the road, and everything would go back again. His blood pressure would go back up, and his health would start to deteriorate. Next DOT physical would come up, he'd fail that, he'd come home, he'd play sports with me to get active, to get his blood pressure down, he would eat really well, he'd do everything perfectly well at home. But the minute he got back in that truck, everything went to the wayside. He didn't know what to do at a truck stop. He didn't know what to do eating out at fast food. He didn't know how to take care of himself in that semi. And so I watched him do this vicious cycle for 4 or 5 years, probably even longer. And throughout that time, I saw him be off the road longer and longer. So what started being 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks would turn to 3 months, 6 months. And in that time, I would watch him lose his house. I watched him lose his pickup truck that he was so excited to buy. And I was there when it got repoed. I can remember seeing the hurt in his heart to have his daughter, his loved one, watch that process happen because his health wouldn't allow him to be on that road. And then in June 19, 2012, he lost his life in his semi. They have no idea what happened. They just know that he went off an embankment and his truck exploded and he flipped. They don't know what happened, but they do fully believe it was due to his health. And so everything I'm going to talk about today is not coming from just the know-it-all dietitian who's going to tell you guys what to do. It comes from someone who wants another daughter to have their father at their wedding. It comes from a daughter who doesn't want to have someone else to have to look out at college graduation and not see a father. It comes from someone who's about to deliver her first son in 2 months and will not have a grandfather for that son. I want you guys to have the tools that my dad did not have and that I hope that everyone else can be. So you all can be there for the weddings, for the big sporting events, for the babies, and everything in between. All right, so let's get started. I want to preface all of this with, I understand trucking. I grew up with my dad. I understand how tough it is out there. I fully understand that truck stops suck. There is very little things that are healthy in them, let's be honest. It really is sometimes about choosing the lesser of two evils. There are a lot of nutrition philosophies out there. There's a lot of every philosophy out there. I'm pretty middle of the ground. If you are highly motivated, wanting to make big sweeping changes, we can have those conversations. But I'm also talking to the person who has no clue what to do like my dad and is just trying to put one foot in front of the other so that they can save their livelihood and, again, be there for their families. So that being said, I have a 4-pillar belief when it comes to these DOT physicals. Number 1, fear, fighting off, fight, or flight. I'll get into more of these as we go. Fueling well, that's not going to surprise anyone. Taking the foot off the gas, and then fitness focus. These are your 4 Fs. Fend off, fight or flight, fuel well, foot off the gas, fitness focused. All right? Fend off, fight or flight. This is essentially managing your stress. I fully believe that it is incredibly difficult to be healthy in any way, shape, or form if we're not managing our stress. No one has said, gosh, I'm so stressed right now, I want an apple. No one has said, gosh, I'm so stressed right now, I want to go get active. Maybe some people get active, but not many. So when our stress is high and unmanaged, it's going to increase our blood sugar. It's going to increase our blood sugar. When we are stressed, we have a hormone that increases. It's called cortisol. When that stress hormone increases, it's going to increase your blood pressure, your blood sugar. It's going to cause you not to sleep well. It's going to cause cravings. It's going to cause irritability, and it's going to make your life pretty miserable. When this cortisol level is high, your body thinks that there is a lion chasing you. So way, way, way back in the day, before our modern times, if you think about it, the lion was truly chasing you, you would have only a few options. Run, fight, or hide. Those are really your options, right? And if you were going to run, fight, maybe hide, you're going to need fuel. Your muscles are going to need energy to get away from that lion. So they're going to first want you to have carbs or sweets. So if you're someone who says, gosh, I really want sweets all the time, but one of the first things I'm looking at is your stress. I'm looking to see, does your mind think it's running from a lion? And so if I'm running from this lion, I want sweets, so body's going to make you start to crave those sweets. It's going to make weight loss very, very difficult, because if you are ready to fight a lion, do you want weight loss? Do you want all of the fuel reserves you might need to run from this lion to be wasted and let go off of your body? No, you want every fuel store you have in your body to fight that lion. So weight loss becomes very difficult, and we have resistance towards it. When we are in that state as well, willpower goes out the window. Willpower is gone. Reason being, if you are running from a lion, do you want willpower? Do you want to look at a lion and say, I don't really feel like running right now, my back kind of hurts? Do you want that ability? Anybody? No? No, we want our bodies to go into whatever state it needs to make us run, to get out of that way or fight for as long as we need to. So our willpower is gone. So if you're thinking, gosh, I just don't have discipline, I don't have willpower, and the world loves to tell us that we don't have these things, if that is you and you will run very high stress, it's not a you problem. It is your physiology's problem. It is your physiology that's going to push you to do these things because your body thinks it is fighting from a lion. The issue is, many of you are probably thinking, I'm in a semi, I don't see a lion any day. I see traffic. I see stress of having to deliver a load on time. I see the stress of bad weather. I see the stress of my loved ones calling me, my loneliness, my boredom. These are the day-to-day stressors that you all are facing. And when we face those, your brain does not know the difference between lion and traffic, lion and money, lion and bad weather conditions, lion delivery window. It sees no difference between those two. So your job becomes, how can I tell my brain I am safe, I'm in no physical threat, and there is no lion? Because without that, you have this cortisol spiking as quickly as it wants to, and your life becomes much more difficult. Every intention you have goes out the window the more this happens. So here are some ways, if you are a driver in the room, which most of you are, these are some ways to help tell your system there is no lion. First one sounds pretty silly, but it's called belly breathing. The number one way to communicate to your brain is by using your breath. The number one way, the quickest, easiest, and most effective way to tell your brain you are safe is by taking a big breath. If you ever notice next time you are super stressed, check in with your body and ask yourself, where is my breath? Is it in my upper chest up here? Probably shouldn't do that. Upper chest, or is it in my belly? If it is in your upper chest, like mine is right now because I'm presenting to you all, then that is fight or flight. This is lion is in front of me. And then when it's in our belly, that is our rest and digest. So if you're feeling rather calm right now, you can probably check in, even where you're sitting right now, and check in to see, where is my breath, upper chest, or is it in my belly? How many bellies do we have right now breathing? All right, I love it, okay. You guys aren't super stressed, love it. How many are in the upper chest? No one. Okay, we came in pretty good today. All right, love that. Glad I'm the only one with it. So that being said, the number one thing you can do is check in where your breath is, and the minute you notice it is in your upper chest, we take a belly breath. So I find it easiest, because this is not always the easiest thing to do. I'll put my hand on my belly, and I'll pause for a second, and I'll feel my belly expand, and then I'll feel it go back down. And I'll do that for, if I have a minute, preferably a minute, but as long as you have. Reminding the brain there is no lion. We are physically safe. Yes, there is something going on, but we are physically safe. There is also, if you ever Google box breathing, you'll see this where you can imagine a box. And on that box, if you breathe, imagine tracing that box as you go up for a count of 3 to 4. You breathe in. As you go across that box, you hold that for 3 to 4 seconds. You go down that box, you hold it for 3 to 4 more seconds, or you let it out for 3 to 4 seconds, and then you hold it out. So breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. And you continue that pattern for, again, a minute, anytime that you have. Okay? So your breath is going to be your number one tool for everything else I talk about today. There's also something called peripheral vision, where if you've ever been stressed and you're looking for something, how easy is it to find the thing that's right in front of your face? Like you forgot you can't find your keys, you're already 10 minutes late. Do you ever find the keys that are right on the table in front of you? Or in your hand, yeah. Yeah, no, you're gonna be running around frantic and then you're not gonna be able to see it. That is because we get very what's called foveal vision. We get very tunnel vision when we're stressed. Again, if that lion was chasing us, you want your mind to find the next opportunity for safety for you. That is its number one job, is to keep you safe. So it's going to look for that opportunity for safety, and it's going to be very tunnel visioned on that. So one of the best things you can do is get into your peripheral. And I know all as truck drivers, you guys know how to be in your peripheral vision. It's what you guys do well. You have 18 wheels to be mindful of in traffic and cars that are in your blind spot. You guys do this really well. So I want us to practice it even though we're here today. I want you to imagine you're looking up to where the ceiling and the wall come together. And then I want you to imagine, you can do spirit fingers with me, or you can imagine it, that you want to see your hands in your peripheral vision. So you can move them back and forth, until you can go as far back as you can, still keeping them in your peripheral vision. You can come up, but getting into your peripheral vision, keeping your hands there and being able to see them, that allows you to, that will allow you to come out of that fight or flight. So again, next time you're super stressed, if you're driving, please keep your hands on the wheel. But again, into your peripheral vision the next time that you can, because it's going to help you significantly come out of that stressful state. Because again, you're signaling to that brain, I'm safe, there's no lion. Does all the stress part of this make sense? Yeah. Any questions on that part before I go? To the next slide. If you are a company person in this room, I highly recommend that you are in some way educating your drivers on how important the stress is. In my opinion, we jump to the nutrition side, we jump to the exercise side of things, and we don't give stress enough credit. And it really is what is the foundation to everything else. It's hard to get, again, willpower to get active, willpower to eat healthy goes out the window when our body believes that that lion is chasing us. Other things you can do, movement. You can move your body, it's helpful. Having gratitude. I know it's really hard to have gratitude when you're angry or in this fight or flight state. It can be really hard, but if you can find one thing to be grateful for. And I will offer you, I still get to go home to my family. I've driven this truck for however many years, and I still am getting to go home to them tonight, or in 3 days, or 5 days, or however long you're going to come back home. I offer you that as your gratitude. And then, of course, talk to a professional. These professionals can help you practice these skills. They're easier said than done sometimes, so if you need help practicing them or doing other skills to help with the stress, please talk to a professional. And then in companies, there are apps that you can partner with that do meditations, that do breath work, that have counselors, that have workshops to be able to educate your drivers. This may not be your zone of genius, but you can always partner with someone who it is their zone of genius and help them. And if there's any way you can incentivize them to use these practices, even better. Challenges, games, things of that nature. All right, foot off the gas. In other words, sleep. And again, I will be very honest, I understand that your guys' sleep windows are atrocious. You guys don't always get nearly enough. And I understand that you could pass 3 different time zones that can make this exponentially harder. And there's a lot of stress to get from point A to point B in a very small amount of time. However, everything I just said about stress, every single thing I just said, if we are not sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night, we have the exact same effects as the stress conversation. Body thinks again, if you go back to way, way, way back in the day, if we weren't sleeping, what was the reason? There was some sort of threat. So our body's thinking, okay, if we're not sleeping, we must be in some way stressed. There must be some sort of threat. Therefore, it's going to increase your cortisol. Cravings are going to go back up. Again, if you think about it, when you're most tired, what do you crave? Pardon? Happy food. What's your favorite happy food? Pizza. Chili dogs. Ice cream, yes. What else? What are some other fun foods? Chocolate. Absolutely, yes. All these things carb-based. Again, your body's looking for that replenish, that it's looking to help fuel because of the threat in front of it. So for that reason, we have to prioritize sleeping to the best of our abilities. And it may not be perfect, you may not be, let's say right now you're averaging 4 hours of sleep. Can we get to 4.5? Can we get to 5? Can we get to 5.5 and then work our way up as much as possible? So again, without it, it's incredibly difficult. And driver fatigue is identified, if you have that driver fatigue, if you've been up for more than, let's say, if you haven't slept, if you've only gotten 4 hours of sleep, you end up being as uncoordinated as a drunk driver, or very close to it. There is research to show that if you are up more than, I believe it's 17 to 19 hours, they've looked at someone they've given alcohol to, and they have a blood alcohol of 0.05. Legal drunk is 0.08. And they compared that with someone who's been up for 17 plus, 19 plus hours, and their coordination, their ability to focus, their ability to perform, the drunk person, the almost drunk person, does better than the sleep-deprived person. And now we have you all behind a wheel. And so I understand that the regulations around sleep apnea and all of these things are very frustrating. I have a booth out here. I've talked to many people who are really annoyed by some of these recommendations or these guidelines at the DOT physicals, but they're for a reason. They are for your safety and everybody else's. So again, goal is 7 to 9 hours. Again, work with me here. If we have to move our way up, we can. And also quality matters. If we're in bed for 7 hours, but we tossed and turned and we were up most of it, it's not very good quality rest, and it's not going to be very impactful. So one of the most important things you can do is limit your caffeine, especially after noon. Caffeine has about an 8 to 12, depending on the study, caffeine has 8 to 12 hours that it's hanging out in your bloodstream. So that means if you drink it, let's say at 12 o'clock, noon, it's still playing a part in your system at 8 p.m. to potentially midnight. So now if you're having it at 3, 4, 5 o'clock, now caffeine is still in your system well into the time you're trying to go to sleep. And my mom always tells me, Cassie, I can drink a pot of coffee before I go to bed, and I'll sleep like a baby. And I believe her. I fully believe some of you might be having that same thought right now. However, when we hook your brain up to electrodes and we actually look at your brain activity, we see that yes, you might actually be sleeping, but you're not getting the proportion of deep sleep that we need you to get. That deep sleep is what's going to help you feel refreshed. That deep sleep is what's going to help you with your memories, with your learning, with your knowledge, with your ability to concentrate and to be able to react how you should when you have an 18-wheeler under you. So that being said, we want to make sure that if at all possible, we are limiting that caffeine. The other one I hear a lot of times is alcohol. Alcohol helps me sleep. That is also another fairy tale. Yes, you may fall asleep with it, but when you hook you up to electrodes and we look at what your brain's actually doing, you're not sleeping well. Your deep sleep, you're not getting into your deep sleep, you're not hitting, so throughout the night, we have different cycles our sleep is going to go through. There's what they call non-rapid eye movement sleep, and then rapid eye movement sleep. It's exactly what it sounds like. You can see the eyes moving really quickly. That's the second part. We'll cycle through these a couple times a night, actually 4 to 6 times a night. And when you first fall asleep, you spend more time in the non-rapid eye movement. And then as the night goes on, you'll spend more in the rapid eye movement. Rapid eye movement is where your deep sleep is. That, again, is your memory. That's your concentration, your focus, your ability to remember. That's most of what you guys need right there. So making sure we get avoid that caffeine and the alcohol are 2 big things. Other things, if there can be a power nap, even 20 minutes can be super helpful. If you have been prescribed a CPAP, one of the biggest things I hear is they're uncomfortable, I hate those things. I remember my dad getting his, and I remember him being like, hey, Cassie, come in here, when he was at his home. I go in there as I'm like, I don't know, 6th grade, and he has this big old mask on, and he looks ridiculous, and I bust out laughing at him. And he's like, yeah, it helps me sleep, so you can laugh at me all you want, Cassie. I feel terrible laughing at him now because it was such an amazing thing that he was using it. But I remember him saying, I sleep so much better, my energy is better, I actually can sleep through the night. And if that is not you, if you hate that darn thing, keep harassing your physician, keep getting it refitted, keep having those conversations until it's a fit that you can sleep with. Company drivers, can you bring someone in to help educate your drivers on how to wear those appropriately? Because again, if we're not getting that sleep, we are the equivalent to a drunk driver. Screens is the next one. I know that there's a period of time where we all just want to check out at the end of the day, and screens can be a big one. That screen is going to help keep your brain up at night. It's going to decrease your ability to get in that deep sleep. So if we can get away from those screens late at night, at least an hour before bed, or at minimum, there are blue light blocking glasses. So the blue lights of those screens are the problem. If we can wear glasses that block that, you can get them off Amazon, they're fairly cheap, that can help you, and that can help make sure that light is not bothering your sleep. You can also you want an environment that is cool, that is dark, and that is quiet. And again, I know certain companies don't allow the trucks to run during the night, so it might get hot, it might get cold, things of that nature. But the best that we can do to black out the curtains, all little parts of light, the thing that tells your brain to wake up and go to bed is light. So if we're not blacking everything out, maybe even an eye mask, your brain thinks it's time to get up. So if you have to take a nap or you have to be going down at a time where the sun is still up, try to black everything out to the best of your ability. Wear an eye mask, make sure it's dark. If it's possible, 68 degrees, which I hate this fact, and my husband loves to remind me of it, the recommended temperature for sleep is 68 degrees. So if you can get your truck down to that so you can sleep, it is going to help rest. It's going to help you be able to go to sleep. Okay. And then, of course, the breath work, that belly breathing I just talked about. If your body thinks there is a lion, it's not going to let you sleep. We don't want to sleep if there's a lion, right? So we can also use those same ideas, the same belly breathing, the same breath work I mentioned before. We can use those to help us sleep as well. And then having some sort of routine to help you sleep is going to be incredibly important. So whatever you do, have a routine. Your body loves habits, loves routines. If you can do anything to help, it's going to be really helpful to be able to have a routine before bed. All right. All right, and I have 5 minutes, so I probably should talk a little bit faster. Nutrition, we all heard of this one. This is the one that everyone knows. This is the one that everyone probably came here to hear that and thought I would talk about most of the time. Again, with our nutrition, I think it's very, very difficult to eat well, to move our bodies if we're not sleeping and we're stressed. So again, I want those other two to be the foundation you guys walk out of here with. And then as far as fueling well, we all know that not eating well can impact our blood sugar, our blood pressure, our inflammation, our joint pain. We can develop fatty liver disease, GERD, sleep apnea. I'm not surprising anyone with these statistics or these conditions here. What I want you to focus on, and I understand that they're not super easy to do. We want 20 to 30 grams of protein at every single meal. 20 to 30 grams. And then half of your plate, some sort of vegetable. So if this means bringing some canned vegetables on the truck, if this means getting a really sad piddly salad from a truck stop or a fast food restaurant, have it as part of your meal. And then a quarter plate of your carb. So I know some people have varying ideas about what we can do as far as nutrition. Again, I'm very middle of the road. I don't want to take your carbs. I don't want to take your fun foods from you. What I want you to do is balance it. So if you're going to have that pizza, if you're going to have your fun ice cream, whatever it is, can I pair it with some protein so it protects my blood sugar? If I do not pair it with protein, my blood sugar is going to spike, and we do not want that spike. If it spikes, it's going to come crashing down. When it comes crashing down, your body thinks, oh, lion. Cravings come up, we start to crave, and we start to eat the foods that help bring our blood sugar up, which are more carbs. So essentially, if we're not balancing our meals in this way, we're finding ourselves on a roller coaster all day long. What comes up must come down. When it comes down, your body thinks, oh no, something's wrong, and it's going to force you to eat more. Willpower is gone, and you're on this roller coaster. So the best thing you can do is always make sure there's some sort of protein. Always. You can do tuna pouches in your truck. You can look for deli meats that you can keep in your truck. You can do grilled chicken, tunas at restaurants. There are microwavable pouches of beans and rice that you could use for the healthier part of that carb. And we can look for, again, low sodium canned veggies, steamed bag of veggies. I've been very pleasantly surprised by how many truckers have came up to me and told me they're cooking in their trucks. They're Instacarting their groceries. They're curbside picking up their groceries. It's incredible to see that. I understand some people are doing that, and some people are like, lady, I'm just trying to get my blood pressure down. I understand there's that whole spectrum. So wherever you fall on that, if you can focus on, when I look at my plate, is there 30 grams of protein? So typically that's about the size of your palm worth of protein. If you're going to go bigger on anything, go on the protein. Half a plate is some sort of vegetable, and then only a quarter of the meal is a carb. So can we make that burger open-faced? Can we keep whatever rice is part of the dish to only a quarter of the plate versus half of the plate? All these little tiny things will add up for your health. It doesn't have to be these big sweeping changes. Next is fitness focused. So again, with our physical activity can help with our stress. It can help us sleep more. It can help with our joint pain. It can help with activity. There's a beautiful speaker after me after me talking about this that I hope you all get to listen to about activity. But at the end of the day, activity creates energy. So a lot of times we're like, I just don't have the energy to get active. Ask and convince yourself to do it for still 5 minutes. I personally never want to work out. There's very few times I want to get active, but I will tell myself, Cassie, just do it for 5 minutes. If after 5 minutes you're miserable and you hate your life, be done with it. But you have to at least start for 5 minutes. What ends up happening is getting started was the hardest part. It was by far the hardest part. So once I can get active again, then I'm like, okay, this isn't so bad, and I'll typically go for 10, 20, 30 minutes from there, however long I need it to be. So I highly recommend at least try 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be a walk. It can be resistance bands or a body weight workout in your truck. It can be a 10-minute workout that you can do as you're getting loaded. There's YouTube videos, tons and tons of apps out there. You can work with a personal trainer. You can walk at a truck stop. I've seen some people have walking pads in their truck, which is like a treadmill that is foldable. I think that's pretty crazy, but I love to see it. And then from there, can you be a part of a national gym, like a Planet Fitness or something along those lines? Can you drop your trailer and bobtail? Can you Uber to a gym? I know that takes a lot of work and a lot of time and potentially money, But at the end of the day, again, is it worth it? Is it worth the investment in yourself? Is it worth the investment in being there for your children as they grow up and not leaving someone standing here like I am today? And then from there, so again, I want us to know, fend off your fight or flight, fuel well, take your foot off the gas, and be fitness focused. I also understand a lot of this is very difficult. You guys have time that's against you. We have access issues. We have money issues. We have knowledge issues. There's a lot of things working against you, and I fully understand that. So if you would like any sort of support on this, I do have an app where I'm a dietitian. I'm responding to you one-on-one in a chat where you can say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I can respond to you, hold you accountable, or my team can. You can take a picture of your food, and I can respond to you and say, add this, decrease this. We have group support where you can come live on a Zoom call, or it's recorded if you can't make it live, and I can answer any of your questions. There's also a group chat where my brain is great and my ideas are great, but I find all of you have way better ideas. You're the ones out there living in the truck, doing the thing, and your ideas are just as valuable as mine. So that group support becomes incredibly helpful. I have guides on if you have no good option at a truck stop, how do you make the best option? If you have no good option at a fast food restaurant, how do you make the best option? And how do you start to implement these things little by little? Because knowledge is only one part of the conversation. We all have books and things like that about nutrition and self-improvement and all those kinds of things. Those are called shelf help if you don't put them into implementation. So if you need help with the implementation part of this, please reach out. I am here to support. And with that, I thank you guys for listening to all of my things here today, and happy to answer any quick questions if there are any. Any questions for me? None? Did I put you guys to sleep, or are we still there? All right, we're still here. Okay, all right. Well, again, thank you for your time and attention. I appreciate you. I'll hang around if there's any questions you want to ask me one-on-one. But have a wonderful rest of your guys' day, and I will hopefully see you guys around. Thank you.